Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Commodities report, and starting with Bitcoin here. So I'm on a daily chart and we're looking at the move up here as 1 and 2 and moving up for wave 3 here at this top here. This wave 3, as I pointed out before, is a little bit shorter, just a tad shorter, or roughly the same size as wave 1. Not a good look for a third wave, but we may end up with a smaller fifth wave. So that means that let's just assume for a moment that we push up here. We'll talk about this correction in a moment, but if we push up here, this wave 5 as wave 3, 4 here, and up for 5 here would need to be shorter. This wave 3 here and this wave 5 up here would need to be, this wave 5 length here would be shorter than wave 3, which is fine to have a larger wave 1. That would be wave 1 at that point, and that would be fantastic, and then we'd have wave 2 here. And there's a good case for having a shorter wave 5 here based on around the 50,000 here, because in my little mind is that number 5 is the second strongest number in the market, and it would really grab hold of the price here for a while. It's just quite sort of normal. We see that at $5 and $50 and so on. So that's possible. The other count here, and also too, just why I'm here, if this is the low here for wave 2 and this is wave 3 up here, then the 38.2% retracement level is basically where it is now, wave 4 here. Now, wave 2 was rather complicated, we could say, so wave 4 could be smaller, but it is at the right level at the 40 there. This move down through here can be counted as 5 waves or corrective waves, unfortunately. So yeah, that could be it there at that point. The other thing that we've talked about before too is that this wave 2 here, like 1 and 2, we could also view this move up here as wave 1 and pulling back for wave 2 here. Now, as a wave 2 movement, it's sitting at 40%. I mean, a wave 2 can be at 40%. It can be at 50%, it can be at the magic 61.8%, or it could be even deeper at the 78.6 or 80%. So it's kind of, can be anywhere. But we would, at this stage, yeah, I mean, it could be, we could put it in here or leave it here. I mean, I'm just being realistic about it and not trying to sell something that's, that we have no evidence for. So the move to the upside here can also play out as an A and a B and a C wave here, and then come down here and then move off at that point. I'll just see what analyst Kitty Pond has done on that note here for this here. Where are we? Bitcoin. Yeah, so he's still got this as wave 3 here with an A wave here. I mean, this is 5 waves here, so we should have some type of correction here and then a push up to the B wave and then come down. But the thing is that this move here, we can get 5 waves out of it. That's not a problem. But you can also get this as an A and a B and a C wave here to have that correction. And 5 waves up here can be wave 1 and 2 here and then pushing up higher. Now, there's a bit of a case for that if we can just have a little look around the block here for a moment. Solana here has also got 5 waves up here, right? So we've got this correctional move down here and 5 waves up here, and then an ABC pattern here. So this could continue to the upside here. Obviously, Solana's had a few outages and breakdowns, but it's certainly not affecting the price. And this is Binance coin here. This is actually on a weekly chart, but it's also traveling across this 300 here, which is a major level in terms of the trading levels, but it's also a corrective pattern as well, and it's also on lower volume, and that's exactly what we want to see a correction on. We want to see a correction on lower volume. That means that there's just no sellers at this particular point in time, So this particular pattern is quite common around the traps at this point in time. So yeah, what else we want to say? We could have a look at the volume on this here on be better on the futures market. Let me just think about this for a second. That's here. Let me just bring this up here on the on the futures market here, which I just need to go to another watch list over here just to bring it up here, and don't pay too much attention to my messy work, but we want this weekly chart here, so don't worry about my messy work, as I mentioned. Okay, so if I was, this is the futures market obviously, and we can see that sell off here, right, on larger volumes. That tells us, you know, it's closed lower on higher volume. There's sellers in control here. This particular move that came down here closed lower than the previous bar here, but it closed on lower volume. So it means that the sellers are drying up from that particular move. And then we see this stronger move up here on this volume bar here. So that puts us in, you know, the buyers in control at this point. Now the problem is that the following week here it moved up, but it didn't move up on increased volume. It was lower volume, so it's like under pressure here. And then this week it's Tuesday, well, Wednesday here in Australia, Wednesday morning, the end of the US session, so it's not really displaying a very positive you know, volume momentum to the upside at this point on the weekly futures at this point. So that's kind of interesting. So then we come back over here, and we just want to talk about this here for a little bit. So I'm just going to go to my other charting program here, and as I mentioned, we can have the top here as 1 or 5, and we can look at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 down here. We can do that. We can also look at it as an ABC correction. But one of the saving graces here is that this particular move up here is very clear that it is 5 waves. So that could be wave 1 or wave A. And so we need to take both of them on board. And if we take the top to toe here, we can see that the 50% retracement level is at the top of wave 1 or wave A here, and the 61.8%, the little pocket as they call it, the 65 and 61 is here for this. So if we think about this for a moment, I'm just going to remove this here. So we've got this move up here. We were thinking that this, as a wave 2, it'd be a nice ABC pattern here for wave 2. That would be nice, right? Now, normally with a correction as an A and a B wave, we put the B wave here. Normally we would look at the wave A here and wave C being roughly the same size. So if we put this here, we can put this over here. That's going to take us quite high at this point. You know, it's almost kind of giving us a bit of a double top at that point. It's taking us past the 61.8% at that point. So at that point, it's kind of like, oh, you know, we should be heading up for a wave 3. So the 1 and 2 and 3 would be a little bit more dominant. And then we would put this correction back over here as an A and a B and a C down here. So that would be on the cards as well. So what we're also sort of thinking as well is that B waves are normally quite complicated, so we could put this B wave over here and then look at this as down for 1, back for 2 here, and then down for 3, 4, 5 over here. And if that was the case, then this would definitely be an A wave, a B wave over here, and then a C wave up here, and then down. But as it stands at the moment, if this top here of this B wave gets taken out here, which is, you know, well, we'll just wait and see. But you know, there would be a case here for, you know, wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 clicking this out here and then having an ABC pattern here and then moving up again. So you could refine this to having it put over here for this. That's another little story, but simply taking that top out there would suffice in this here actually being wave 1 here and wave 2 here of the next degree, so that I could put this back over here. And sorry to make this more complicated than it needs to be, but so wave 1 and 2 here and 1 and 2 here, so really sort of pushing to the upside. And in terms of the trading levels, we've got 40,000 as the medium level, and then 1, 2, 3 here is group 1. So once you get tested support on top of number 3 here, the fourth strongest number, 1, 5, 8, and then 3. Once you get tested support here, because all these moves up here, they're coming back and testing it, popping up and testing it, and popping up and testing it, popping up and testing. But once it actually tests and then makes a new high, then what it's actually doing, it's severing any pull from the orders that would be pulling them at this point. So that means anybody in the futures market would start letting go at that point. So there is a very good case for the upside here, not only in Bitcoin, but in AVA, DOT, and some others. I can't think on the top of my head, but you know, we've been looking at them and talking about them in our little chat room on Trading Lounge. So yeah, so this is looking very positive. You know, I mean, you know, the reason the long trade's therefore is because as soon as this B wave gets taken out here, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and then correction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a nice little ABC, but it's only valid as an ABC if this top gets taken out. If that top gets taken out, then it confirms that this is indeed a corrective pattern. And because we've got 5 waves here, it would trigger the whole next sequence here. We have dropped it down to this one because this would also trigger a new sequence to the upside as well here. And the other thing here too, if it does trigger a sequence to the upside here, then it takes this here as being wave 4 or wave 2 here. And what it also does as well, if I can just go back to the other charting program, because once you reckon, because yeah, if this is 5 waves down here, and we could still end up having, sorry to wrap it on, but an A and a B and a C wave here, and then still come down at this point. Now this is important because if I go back to this particular pattern here, just so a bigger picture here, easier to see. So it's actually, you know, as I've mentioned before, it's probably not the case and doesn't really fit the narrative, but it still needs to be talked about. It's still possible for this here to be an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, where this 1 degree smaller, but where this point is at 3 waves here, we can count this as 5 waves down. So, you know, it's still quite possible. What we have to move away from is to really understand that this 5 wave structure here could be a little ABC pattern here, and then 3, 4, 5, and start a bear market down here. So technically we can't rule that out yet. I mean, emotionally we can say that's just not right, Pete, you know, but technically it can't be ruled out at this point. It's still at this point, so it's still there. But what I wanted to say as well is that once we can gather enough evidence to say, I'm just going to remove these here for a moment, and this, just to make it a little bit clearer. Once we can confirm that this is a corrective pattern here, or this is impulsive and it goes back up to these highs up here, and we can confirm that we're going to get another little 5 waves up here, what that does is it opens up the bigger bullish picture, meaning that it takes out this top over here. Right, so if it takes out this, you know, this, once we sort out this here, will confirm that this top will be taken out at that point. So there's a lot at stake at this particular junction here. There's a lot to be, you know, to be had at this point, because it basically, once we figure out we can figure out that this is corrective, or we get a little impulse wave up here, it really just puts the price up into blue skies here. That's what it does. It confirms a bigger bullish market, which is, you know, pretty exciting at that point. Okay, so let's have a look. Sorry to spend so much time on that, but let's look at, I mean, this is one of the important things because it ignites all the cryptos. The next important thing on my mind is the US dollar. So let's check that out. Okay, so for the US dollar, this is a daily chart here. And yeah, I mean, the first thing here is that I've got 2 counts for this. And we've got this count here, where we've got an ABC, which we're extending to the upside here. We can see we're on lower volume if this pushes up through here. So it's quite possible to have the top coming into play there. If we look at this little move in here as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here, then that would play out in this little chart here on some detail here, where I'd have well, the A wave here, wave B here, 1 and 2 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, and A, B, C for the fourth wave here, and then going up here, this move up here is wave 1 and 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, 3, A, B, C for 4, 5. So I'm just taking it to the max at this point, and this is roughly in here, is roughly the 61.8% retracement level here for this. So we're kind of, maybe that's it there, here, yeah, maybe that's it there. I'll just check to see what Malik has got here on his, yeah, he's got the same thing sort of happening here on this. So he's got the same, different count, but same sort of scenario here. So we've got this count, and we've also got a bigger count, because if we go past, you know, if we go past this situation here, then we'll need to look at a different picture of this, and I think there is a good case for further upside because of the volume in the markets, and it would come to this one here. So I'm back on a daily chart, I'm on the futures, not that it matters that much, we're just talking about patterns at the moment. But what happens if this move up here, that can also be counted quite nicely as 5 waves, by the way. So what happens if we look at this as 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, 5. Now obviously we'll need to just drop this down into the next degree smaller here, but basically looking at this as 1 and 2 in here, and 3. Normally wave 3 comes across the top of the old highs, and that's why we see wave 4 could be complicated. We can also see wave 4 being complicated if wave 3 is really quite sort of powerful. And bring this up to this sort of space here. So it would give us a 5 wave move up here, because I can count 5 waves up here. So that means all of this down here is the A wave, and then an A and a B and a C wave up here that could come realistically, you know, up into the, let's just do our homework here for a little bit. This top here roughly, and this low here. The 61.8% is here. The old top here is going to play out as well. So we could just go from here to here on this. So there is space for it. Touched on 50. It can come down. Didn't make a new low here. This down here can be counted as 5 waves, but I can convert that into 3 waves as well at that point. So that's not impossible to do, but I'm just pointing out here that this can be a 5 wave structure nearly topping at this point. There'll be some pullback in here, so we'll watch the volume on this, and 3, 4 and 5 here to play out here, and then come down at that point. So this is important because I don't have any answers in here just yet for this, but I wanted to show this side here because that's going to affect the yields and the bonds at this point in time as well. So when we think about this at the moment, we've already got 1 leg here, would still need 3 more legs here. And this 3 more legs is kind of important for when we get into the gold market, because they need to pull down. So remember that we've got 1 here already, so the 2, 3, 4, 5, and it would need to play out. Now I don't know which one is correct here, so it's just something that we have to work through. But what it does do, it obviously puts a different spin on the bonds and the 10-year yields here as well for all of this. So looking at the bonds here for just on the TLTs here rather than the futures and everything. So the thing here is that okay, so I couldn't see it. I thought it was still pushing up. I thought, oh, that's a bit weird. So what this could do here is this has got 1 leg down already, so another 2 legs down here. So if we look at this as wave 1 with an A wave here, a B wave up here, and the B wave could get a bit more complicated in here too, but basically the B wave, and then down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down into the 61.8%. So that would also fit the narrative of the dollar pushing higher, you know. So that's the situation in here, and obviously the yields would be doing the same thing as well. But we want to basically go to go back over to gold here now. So with gold here, this is a weekly chart. So I'll just bring this into a daily chart here for a moment without getting it too sort of complicated. So if the dollar's got a little bit more push to the upside right now, if the dollar is going to, if the dollar here just pushes up into wave 2 here and then comes down, that's fine. Then in that case, we're going to see, we're going to see this gold market here on the daily chart just push down here and then push up from that point, But if we see the dollar here pushing up here higher in five waves to the upside, as I pointed out, we've got wave 1 here already, so it'll be 3, 4, 5, 3 waves up here into this area, if that is indeed the case, and it may not be, but we're just sort of looking into the crystal ball a little bit. If that's the case, then we're going to see gold pull back down into this space here, It's not like I'm happy to buy new highs. Gold and the dollar do pivot on each other on a daily basis, but at times they could be out of whack for a week or two. So I understand that too. So, we need to look at both sides. This current little move here, I'm always happy to go along above the top and the top here, and now we've got this top here, and this little move here is in 3 waves, this move here. So if this gets breached at this low here, right, at this low here, then it'll force that to be in a corrective pattern. And if it takes that low out, it'll take this low out and it'll make another low here. So it makes it a little bit more sort of complicated at that point, So this move up here can also be counted in 3 waves as well. So we could put that up here. We could look at this, configure this in another way as well, but it doesn't really matter. But the point being is that as far as I can see, if I put my trader's hat on, we can go long above the top there because that's in 3 waves. If it takes the bottom out here, then it's going to force that to be corrective at that point. And then we'd have to wait and would remove that at that point because we get a bounce and we'll come down here further. So we can go long above that. If this market just pushed straight up from here, we could go long at that point. But the point being that this move here is in 3 waves, so that's corrective to the upside. We should be taking this low out here, which should bring us back over here, which gives the dollar with the larger move to the upside some credibility. So anyway, we'll see. We've either got the short move to the upside here, that Malik is pointing out here on the dollar, or we're going to go further up. So we just have to wait and see the turn here. And even when we get the turn here, it's going to be a little bit tricky because if it's going to be moved to the upside, you can quite clearly see here that we could view this as wave 1 and 2 here, and then some sort of 1 and 2 in here with a 3rd wave in here, and up to this point, and then a 4th wave over here, and then a 5th wave up here. It's not hard to get that 5-wave structure out of that point, So anyway, that's that, and then we come to, so we just have to still wait, and the same thing with silver as well here. So if we can come back to the daily chart, but the weekly chart gives it a better sort of spin, and I probably just want to update that to primary and this to intermediate while I'm here, cleaning the house while the guests are coming through the door. So all of this cacophony in here is all in 3 waves. This is 3 waves, that's 3 waves, and this here is in sort of 3 waves as well. So even if it's not a triangle, it's still some WXY sort of thing, and it still needs to play out here. Obviously there's really good support at the 20 here. We can see the stochastic sort of moseying on down here on the weekly, so it's still trending down. It hasn't turned yet. Indicators lag, got it, yes, all of that. So we're nearly here, but we're just not there just yet, that's all. And we've taken the same pattern into the daily chart here. It's how you want to play this out here. Now we can look at this little move up here as an impulse wave. It's a little bit light on, and we can look at this here as an A and a B and a C wave down here. So, rightfully so, that could be the end of it here. But because it's corrective and they work in lots of 3, we could even get this here and then push up here. So 3 wave here, 3 wave here. So it's not really over just yet until we know where the dollar is. It's as simple as that. So we can't make a move here for this. So we just have to wait that out. Okay, so moving on over to the base metals, and we're looking at copper here. And with copper here, there is a case, if the US dollar pushes up higher, well then this is going to push down here lower, and instead of looking at this as an ABC coming down here, I don't know why that's on there at that point. It's probably sitting on another degree of chart here, but just have a look here. No, it's stuck there, so I don't need it, so that can go. So yeah, we could look at this here, and that could go as well. We could look at this here as 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5 here, coming down here further. That's on the negative side. On the positive side here, this move to the upside here is in 5 waves, so we could also push up from this point. And if we go to the, let's just go to the hourly chart first, and then we'll go to the minute charts here. I just want to have a look inside while we're here. See, so we've got this little 5 waves up here, but we've moved down past the 50-60%, which is not the end of the world, but one would have to say this is starting to look quite impulsive to the downside, you know. So yeah, you know, it's this, we can't buy BHP here at the moment with all of this. And I should just have a look at, while we're here, I just want to have a look at China here. So I want to just go to the indices here and just have a look at China on the bigger picture here for a moment. Let me just go back, because this is interesting. It's, you know, China's in the poop at the moment. You know, they've got 2 top real estate companies have got $500 billion of debt. You know, looks like 208 in our years. In our financial crisis, looked like a little baby. But the thing here is that, you know, it's always the same, isn't it? I remember like Meta platforms being at $100 just a little while ago, you know, and it was all doom and gloom at that point, you know. But so when there is that emotional talk of doom and gloom, it's, you know, as they say, buy when there's blood on the street, which is a horrible thing. But yeah, I mean, I've always looked at China here as, you know, as a wave 3 up here. Well, I've looked at China basically, you know, from the 70s, it's had this massive sort of boom, and then it's had this bust which is going through now. So I just kind of see it in a little way like up for wave 1 at the top of the boom, and coming back sharply and quickly and swiftly for wave 2. So that's sort of how I see it. So once it finds its feet again and you know, picks up, then it'll, you know, move into a, you know, big massive wave 3, so to speak, you know. But I understand that in terms of its stock market here, we can clearly see this is an A wave, an A, B, C for the B wave. It's in, you see these 3 wave structures here, you know, so it's in a triangle pattern here. And, you know, as I pointed out before, we're not that, this is a monthly chart, we're not that far away from it being completed here. You know, so I don't know what I got on the monthly here. That's the monthly, this will be the weekly here. And yeah, so we're looking at it like this here. So the C, the D here, and then the E wave here as an A and a B and a C. So we're looking for 5 waves in there. I'm not going to burn up your time at the moment, but I will. I just wanted to have a quick look at it, but I think we'll be there shortly on this, but I don't think we've probably got another low in here. I'll have to count 5 waves in here, so there's probably another low in here. But just pointing out that, you know, we're at the, you know, this has been going on since, you know, 207, 208, you know, this situation here, it hasn't really recovered from that point, you know, and this is an accumulation process through here, so eventually that top will be taken out. So we'll be up here with it, you know. Anyway, I just wanted to have a bit of look at that because obviously that's, you know, I mean, without China buying resources, you know, it needs to be in boom time to buy. So this is pretty much all these commodities are waiting. And yes, of course, China has been, playing out, buying its own, iron ore, in West Africa and all these sorts of other mines around the place. But this is copper futures here. And it's always been a bit of a tricky little pattern here, because on the futures market you can squeeze 5 waves out of this move to the upside here, and we can view this as being corrective here. We could also squeeze it out as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, so the first move to the downside, which will bring this down further, but we've got 5 waves here, so it's not likely that's going to be the case. It's probably more likely to see, I don't have to make these a primary degree at this point, but it's quite possible what I was thinking with this little 5 wave structure here is to have a little 5 waves up here as at minimum, and then we could come down from this point, because this would be an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave up here for the B wave. But we could also view this as 1 and 2 here and continue to build here. So anyway, we'll just see how this plays out here. We're looking for a buy on BHP and the rest of it, but it's not just there yet. China's not there yet, so it's just not sort of playing out in terms of a trade. It's just not there yet. So let's go and have a look at our next one here, which is iron ore. And with iron ore here, pretty simple kind of count and sort of bullish as well. And Australia is, selling to India now on this note. So, but yeah, we looked at as 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 3, nice third wave here. So we've been looking at the fourth wave. We did talk about this wave 4 here, sort of starting to overlap wave 1 here, which was a bit of a no-no, but we can allow a little bit of it because it's still the best fit. The other count for this would be 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2 here, like a much more bullish count, which could be the case because of we're in this third wave here. And if we go back and have a look at the bigger picture here, we can see this makes a nice A, B, and C down here as a corrective pattern. It's not to say that all of this corrective pattern coming down here could be something where we have an A, B, C for the A wave here, and then the B wave is over here, and then we come down for a C wave over here. That's possible, but as it stands, this is the best fit at this point, and we can just put that there. We've got a nice impulse wave here, so we knew that on that impulse wave here we would have something over here. So it is moving along, and we can't really look at this move up here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because it just doesn't fit. So I do see iron ore further to the upside, so we should see Rio, Vale and FMG and those guys push to the upside. And then we come to uranium here, and we know uranium is bullish. We've got this nice 5 wave structure over here for this, which makes a wave 1. I've just got it at cycle degree and little ABC for 2 here, and then 1 and 2 are primary degree. And then looking for this to move up here further. So currently we're just playing out across the $30 mark, which is to me a major trading level. And yeah, there's a few different ways to count this up, but the count is pretty simple as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and the third, fourth, and then this is a little bit tricky in here, but it's sort of starting to play out. As mentioned yesterday, we could put this here as 1, 2, and then a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth, and fifth. But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter how high it goes here. It's still going to play out. We're still going to get some play out here. Now, it doesn't have to come back this far. It can just come back to this consolidation here, which is sort of the norm in this case. But there will be more to play out here for sure. So it's not going to go straight to the moon or anything at this point. And also too, with the US dollar pushing up, we'll see how that goes. If it's going to push up further, it's going to pin this back down into the $30 mark at this point. Okay, over to the world of oil, and there's a couple of counts here. So we've been looking, I mean, this also follows the dollar as well. So we've got this down here from the top here. We've got this as an A and a B and a C wave here. So we can have that as a C wave, but it's difficult to count this up here as an impulse wave now. You know, it's just because of the drop here, it's a little bit difficult to look at this as wave 1 here with an ABC for 2 here or 2 to here. It just doesn't sort of add up, and then we would need to look at this as wave 1 and back for wave 2 here. Just not sort of there. It's a better fit if we look at this move down here as wave 1 and then wave 2 here, and then the 5 waves down here for wave 3. And then look this here back as an A and a B and a C for wave 4, pulling back to the wave 4 1 lesser degree. If that is the case, then we would need to see 5 waves to come down for this wave 5 here for this, right? And this here would just be part of wave 1 at this point. Now we can see that the volume coming down into this low, we can see the market moving down here on lower volume. We're not seeing any volume to the upside just yet. I don't have 5 waves down here, as I mentioned yesterday as well. We can look at this as 1 and 2 here, and then 3 and a wave 4 here, and then a wave 5. If we get that wave 5 here, then we're going to be in a more bearish picture, because it would have an ABC after that, and then would come down again here. It'll be like this. But as it stands at the moment, we can view this as an A and a B and a C, so we could put the wave B here. So I could look at all of this move up here. Instead of a wave 4 here, we could view it as wave A here with a wave B here and then a wave C up here. So it gets a little bit more complicated. So based on that, we don't want to do any trades here, because there's too many options of which way it can go. You know, we just like we like a trend. We like that trend to pull back and then look for the right pattern and then move in and manage the risk. It's just not here on this. It's just too dangerous at this point. And we move over to natural gas. So there's no real sort of change here as well. We've been looking at from this low here, we've been looking at as an ABC to the upside, and then down for 1 here, back for 2 here, and then going into wave 3. And we saw the market gap down here, which was good. Suited that wave 3. We understood that this was just going to, you know, bob along the bottom here at this old low here. So it's going to get all messy in here, and it is getting messy, but we figured that in due course, this move here would end up like, if that's the level here, would end up bouncing off that, going through, going back up, and eventually coming down, you know, finding that as resistance, this pattern through here. It'll either be this one or this one, have a nice cleaner bottom here. But we can look for short trades from this low and this one here. But we're not at this stage just yet for this, you know. So we've just come down. We've seen a little bit of a bounce here. We'd need to come down here further, then a move back and use that low there to short any, you know, short it down into 150 at that point, and so on. But yeah, so anyway, it's just not ready. So, you know, I have to leave it at that for the time being, and that's that. So just sort of recapping all of this, that it will come down to where the dollar is. Well, we've got 2 counts on the dollar, and then we've got Bitcoin. So and if Bitcoin gets triggered, then it means that you know, if Bitcoin, where is my other little chart here, which would be better for this, this one here. So it looks like it will get triggered by the looks of it here. So if I can just clean this up here for a moment, and because this will trigger a lot of other crypto trades here. So taking that top out there will be, you know, will trigger it. But as I mentioned, that's, you know, around that top there. There'll be different platforms will have different prices here as well, because it's not a centralized exchange. It's a bit like FX. So we've got 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 4 here. So it will push up here, and it will push up, get the right tools. It should, after this little correction is done, I'll need to look inside that to see what it is. We should see a little push up into this high here. And once that happens, then we'll see, let's clean this other mess up here. So once that occurs, then we will see we'll see it pull back in 3 waves. It may not pull this far back, but it should pull back in 3 waves. So that will be your better entry at that point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a little pullback, and at that point. And then once that's triggered there, you'll have your stop under here to start with, under this low here. Once that gets triggered there, then you can move the stop up to here. So you can halve your risk at that point. So yeah, but like I said, if this gets triggered here, then obviously the first target point up here is based on this 5-wave move here as wave 1. You would want, and this is wave 1 and 2 here, you would want, this would be another 1 and 2, so it's going to build up here. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what if it looks like a 3rd wave up here, then we won't, you don't need to exit the position. You know, you could take it at 50 if you wanted to, but there would be a much bigger picture unfolding at that point. So anyway, we'll have to see what it looks like at that point to make some decisions on taking that or not taking it. Alrighty, sorry for such a long video, and a lot of it is not very clear, but the cryptos would be the best trade at this point. And if this gets triggered here, it's going to trigger Cardona and all the other little ones as well, most of them. Okay, cheers.